What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what's really moving it, and a huge catalyst a lot of people aren't talking about. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. SoundHound is up 2.06%, 972 the low, 1020 the high. So you had a lot of volatility. A lot of the downside was attributed to the data points. So both ADP employment and ISM services came in a little bit worse for wear. The employment change, in fact, wasn't this low since pretty much mid-2023. So a lot of this had the market somewhat freaking out over, and ISM services as well did close below that pivot of 50, or came in at 49.9. So when it comes to that, it does show more of a contraction occurring in the broader market. So this is why you did have kind of this sell-off right here. Market seems to be really moving higher now. So SoundHound is having a very nice recovery. So I'll go over the technicals and what that ultimately means. But this morning, SoundHound did put out this. So in-car voice commerce could unlock $35 billion annually for automakers. Research highlights strong consumer appetite. So this isn't actually specific to SoundHound, but they're just bringing up a new study. But obviously you can kind of piece things together and just kind of assume what this does mean for SoundHound. More and more revenue. So I think that's kind of a good thing. So we'll just have to wait and see how, I guess, the next decade does play out. But SoundHound seems to be really doubling down on auto. So that seems to be a good thing. But with that said, I was rather disappointed with them not really participating in a certain conference. So they post this on social media that they're going to almost every single available kind of chat or tech conference or anything like that. But they are and did not participate in the UBS Auto and Auto Tech Conference. So Rivian and a couple of other EVs and a lot of automakers joined to this and participated in it. Unfortunately, you didn't have SoundHound. So I feel like this single-handedly would have been a very good catalyst for SoundHound, for them to really kind of sell themselves, right? Because everyone would be in one area, so you can easily just have a good sales pitch and whatever else. So that's a missed opportunity in my opinion. But with that said though, there is a huge catalyst that a lot of people, I haven't seen anyone talk about, in fact, and that is this right here. So Wedbush launches ETF focused on AI. So Daniel Ives, very popular individual. I've brought him up obviously on this channel quite a few times, but some of the names that are listed here are NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, and Google, and so forth. So a lot of the big names, but it does say and others. I brought this up, I feel like a month ago or something like that. So Daniel Ives, even though he did recently lower SoundHound's kind of his price target on SoundHound, still did include it on his Ives AI 30. So 30 stocks that he is essentially paying attention to. And so SoundHound, yours truly, is the last one on the software. So yeah, that's pretty good if you ask me. So for SoundHound to make it in his viewpoint as innovative and huge growth, that does mean, in my opinion, that it is going to be part of this new ETF. So ultimately that should be able to really increase the liquidity, because I feel like at the same time, a lot of people do mimic exactly what Daniel Ives does. So if he's going to be adding all these kind of stocks, possibly including SoundHound, to this ETF, more and more people are going to be paying attention to that and adding the same. So that should add extra volume and liquidity, like I said. So I think that's generally a huge catalyst, and normally does cause the stock price to go up, right? Because institutions will be buying these stocks, thus adding some buying pressure. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. Aside from that, shorts are increasing 555,000 shares today. 32.28% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 117.83 million shares overall are being shorted. So shorts are really doubling down, and over the last little bit, ever since the low of I guess May the 19th, or on May the 19th, they've been really increasing significantly. So I think that's kind of bold of them to do, especially given a lot of the data points that have been coming out. Aside from today's kind of suck, but in general, a lot of the data points, even yesterday, Jolt numbers were better than anticipated. And so I think at the end of the day, shorts are going to be kind of mitigating some risk over the next couple of weeks and starting to return. So again, adding a lot of good buying pressure to SoundHound. Aside from that, looking at the options, 1.65 million in calls, 438,000 in puts. So kind of low dollar value, but 46% of all the options being done today are bullish in nature. Of the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $11 range. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly $10. So given the fact that we're basically there right now, there's a lot more upside anticipated. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So this is what caused a spike first thing. So string of buying. And I think a lot of that had to do with them actually putting out news, even though it wasn't really, I guess, news for today, if that kind of makes sense. And then looking at the dark pool transactions, you see a couple big ones, 1.12, 1.8. So big money is definitely paying attention to SoundHound. And even though we are seeing somewhat lower volume, I think that's just because algorithmic trading isn't really getting involved all that much. But right now with it at 10.09, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 9.85 is a strong support. Kind of did momentarily break below that, but 10.52 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, and it seems to be willing to kind of hit there. So let me know your viewpoint if you think that is possible or not. But there was a new rating that did come out yesterday, and it shows yesterday, but I think it was actually posted today. But nonetheless, Northland did give a hold $8 price target. Michael, who has a 43% success rating, and I think that was lowered from $10. So still, it could be better at the end of the day. So that is officially the lowest analyst rating on SoundHound right now. So not the greatest, but then again, if you kind of factor in 8 days ago, there was that $12 buy by Piper Sandler. There's still a lot more upside anticipated. Over the last 3 months, $11.50 is that price target, representing a 13.97% upside. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart, still wedge bound between that 200 and 100 day moving averages. Currently, it is right now below that ALMA of $10.12. So that's going to be a kind of point to watch for, but with some good momentum seems to be building, and it bouncing off of that 200-day moving average recently on June the 2nd. Things seem to be really moving up. So next point to really watch for is that 1050 mark that is linked to the fib levels. And then aside from that is going to be that 200-day moving average at that, 100-day moving average at 1073. If it is able to get above that, then this is where you could see a little bit higher highs. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. What's your viewpoint on the recent news that they did put out alongside this ETF? Do you think that it is a good catalyst, or do you think it's just fluff? What's your general thoughts on that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.